Welcome back to the Automation Podcast, the world's #1 industrial automation product and technology show. Thanks to you, our audience of highly skilled automation professionals. Thank you for being a member of our audience, and thank you for tuning back in this week. And if you're new to the show, my name is Shawn Tierney from Insights in Automation, and this week I have an interview with Christine Bush from Schneider Electric. Now, this is one of those interviews I did back in November at Schneider Electric's Innovation Summit. Of course, I didn't want to release, 6 weeks of straight of Schneider Electric interviews. So we're releasing them every third episode. And so I think this is episode 4 or 5 out of 7. So I hope you enjoyed this. We have a great conversation about her role at Schneider, about robotics, about digital transformation, and many other topics. But before we get to that, I got a couple announcements. First of all, I want to thank Schneider for sponsoring this episode so I can release it to you ad-free. You guys know your experience. You know how much it costs to go out of town for a couple days, especially to a big city, and get hotel rooms and flights and transportation and spend those days not working, but learning about new products, right? And so being self-employed, I don't have a sugar daddy or some big corporation to pay those bills. I need a sponsorship. And I want to really thank Schneider for sponsoring my trip to their Innovation Summit to come record all these interviews so I could bring all this great information to you guys. And this episode, we do get into some really interesting conversations. But before we get back to this episode, I also have another announcement. I just want to remind you that the Automation School and Automation Museum, you're not seeing new videos on this channel for those two channels because they have their own channel now, right? So they're not just playlists anymore, they're their very own channels. So if you're looking for the newest in the Automation Museum or the Automation School, those videos are now on separate channels. So with that said, let's jump into my interview with Christine Bush from Schneider Electric. Christine, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on. It's such a pleasure to meet you. You have, I think, the best title of anybody I'm interviewing. And but before we get into talking about what you do and the customers you interact with, could you first tell our audience a little bit about yourself? And mostly controls engineers is what our audience is, and many of them working with robotics today. And tell them a little bit about your history and what you're doing today for Schneider Electric.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for having me on the show. I'm very excited to be here. Again, my name is Christine Bush. I have been a controls engineer my entire career, and now I've graduated to the point where I can say I've been in this industry over 30 years. So it's really hard to say, but I started out in glass manufacturing. So from a customer persona, I was an end user. I really enjoyed that process. It was 24/7 on all the time. From there, I graduated into systems integration, and then from there, I stumbled across a little company called Square D back in the day when Career Builder was where you threw your resume to look for jobs,
Yep.
and I ultimately ended up working for Schneider Electric, which, acquired Square D.
Yeah.
Today, I have now been with Schneider Electric for 19 years, and my title today is Director of Robotics Center of Excellence. Is a big title, maybe a little confusing. So, what is it? A center of excellence is a culmination of people, a place, and really a lab to show off what our offers are, where we can collectively work with customers from a design perspective with their motion and robotic needs.
And that's pretty amazing. I can see anything that says center of excellence just sounds like fun and spending a lot of time with customers and showing them really cool stuff. And yeah, so thank you. I appreciate you for sharing that. Now, I wanted to ask you, um, what do you see the robotics? There's so much change in the robotics industry. Like we had this big boom, and now we're seeing some major plays with different companies selling or buying. And so, just from your perspective, right? Maybe from the Schneider Electric perspective, what are you seeing out there today? Like, let's say 2025. What's happening in the robotics industry? What are the hot products? What are customers most interested in? Can you share some insights on that?
Certainly. Yeah, it's been a very interesting year. I would say the latest and greatest thing that's happening with robotic offers are AMRs. AMRs that have collaborative robots on top,
Yes.
in order to have more fit form and fashion in the logistics space in particular. Um, Linear track solutions, so you can manufacture and have more workstations in a smaller area of a plant floor because space is money. So we want to make sure we're taking advantage of every inch of that floor space. Um, Collaboratives are still the bright, shiny object, and the interesting thing I see is it's coming from a high level down as well as from a lower level up, and because it's a shiny object, a lot are jumping in and for adoption, but they really don't know how they wanna implement them in their process. So it's been an interesting year. We get started, and then we get into the finer points of how are you going to implement it in your process, and then we have to start from the bottom line and work up.
I find it so interesting. So you think you know what an AMR is, and then somebody puts a collaborative robot on top of it. Or you think you know what a linear track is, but for some reason in some applications, it's more efficient to put the robotic arm on the system itself. And
Yep,
I find it so interesting. And there's all these different, I mean, everything from machine tending to AMRs, linear tracks, all types of applications. And of course, heavy duty robots, there's still a place for that too, because those
absolutely,
applications are just growing as well.
absolutely.
I think if we take a look at some of the more, well, I guess I want to say, what are some of the positive trends you're seeing right now, really in the industry, robotics and everything else you have to deal with? Because I know the robots have to interface with all kinds of tools, they have to interface with other automation systems.
Yep.
If we could take a look at the positive trends, what are some of the positive trends you're seeing out there?
I think some of the positive trends that are coming with higher levels of automation, along with robotics, is the fact that we have a lot of openings from a shortage of skilled labor,
Yeah.
and so the adoption of doing a task with a robot is certainly increasing today. Um, and what I've seen in 2025 change from 2024, a lot of customers were looking at oh, you're getting rid of employees for the robot. The shift in 2025 is the realization of some jobs just people do not want, and they have a high turnover. And so now I have seen a reduction in the pushback of adopting robotics because they're going to replace employees to the fact that the robots and higher levels of automation are going to help increase efficiency, quality in the product that's being manufactured, and it's enabling the workforce to do more thought provocative jobs. So I've seen a real shift in the mindset, moving away from they're taking my job away from me into they're helping me be more efficient.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with you on that. And, we were talking in the pre-show, we were talking about kids and grandkids, and my
Absolutely.
grandkids have been using touchscreens since they came out of the womb. I mean, they were just like, iPads, iPhones, all that kinds of great stuff. And, that generation, they don't want to, um, work on a CNC machine unless it's a high-tech CNC machine. They don't
Right.
they don't wanna do the piece parts, like I took some of jobs doing piece parts near the house because we lived in the boonies, and, you know, that job is boring, right? And
Absolutely.
I for one can tell you I've done over 1,000,000 miles on the road, which is why I don't travel anymore. And I can tell you, you can only listen to podcasts so much. Now, I'm not asking anybody to turn out my podcast, but there becomes a point where, if you're in the car 8 hours a day, unless you're a truck driver, you're probably going to get bored with it. So I can definitely see that the next generation would rather be the robotic expert, the robotics tech or engineer, than actually somebody sitting in front of a machine figuring it apart every couple of minutes.
Absolutely.
And I think, I mean, would you say that's the same thing you're seeing?
That is exactly what I'm seeing, but I'm also seeing a lot of competition because as we were, chatting earlier, the next generation, they wanna be involved with being the next social media star.
Oh, yes.
They are looking at progressive companies, because I think other fields are doing a better job of communicating that they have a cool job for this next generation coming into the workforce. So the Googles and the Metas, having this collaborative workspace, having a more agile, do you work today? Do you work tomorrow? Flexible schedule. And I see a trend where high schoolers and college age students ask if they are interested in manufacturing, the answer is to the tune of about 20% only said yes to manufacturing. So I think we have a dilemma. What are we doing today to make manufacturing controls engineering the coolest place to be? And so I think we need to start over communicating that we work with cool technology, we work with robotics, we work with high performing PCs,
Yeah.
and we get to wear cool gadgets. I mean, the wearables today in automation and control, we're having a lot of fun right now.
Yeah, and this is really leading edge stuff, like next generation stuff. We've had so many guests come in, but everything we're talking about is leading edge, next generation stuff. And I just tell anybody, maybe you're in middle school or just getting into junior high, um, visit a plant. Don't visit a paper plant. Don't visit a
Yeah, I
rock
would agree
quarry.
with that.
D- Go to a bottling plant or a bakery or just something with lots of moving parts, right? And check it out. I mean, there's so much going on, especially these companies that do end to end, right? The raw materials come in and out goes that thing you love to buy at the store.
Yep.
I can definitely vouch for potato chip plants because potato chips off the line, brand new, fresh, the best potato chips you will ever have.
I've never had that experience. I'm gonna have to make my way to a manufacturing facility
Oh,
with chips.
I don't want to mention any names, but um, I feel if I went back, they'd probably ban me because I'm kind of a potato chip fiend. But in any case, I think some of the things that I just run into is like getting the youth, and I know this is on the kind of off topic, but getting the youth interested in this is like part of that is getting them into the maker scene, right?
Yeah,
Getting it, it's let them make their own things because a lot of what they learn there, basic programming, basic electrical and electronic skills, right? Even some
absolutely.
simple CAD stuff,
Yep,
right? So they're 3D printing, they're CNCing, they're playing with their Arduinos or their Raspberry Pis. That is, I think, a great feeder. And if you can get them even lower, you get them into the Lego League. When I was coaching,
yes,
that was for the little kids. It is so much, and I was doing 4, 5, 6. That is such a huge piece because they know right away if they like making this robot go, 2 meters that way, 1 meter that way, pick this up, drop this off. I mean, it's so cool. The sequential stuff, the programming, the motion. So, and then you could end up in the center of excellence for robotics and see some of the current stuff that's coming out today for the leading edges companies. But do you have any comment on that? Hey guys, just want to break in here quickly to thank Schneider again for sponsoring this episode so I can release it to you ad free. This was also one of 7 different interviews I did, 6 of them actually at Schneider Electric's event. And of course, without their sponsorship, none of that would have happened. So I want to thank them for sponsoring these videos, which we're releasing like every 3rd episode until we get through them all. And we have more coming from Schneider. They've been a great partner to work with, just like many vendors. If you know a vendor you want to have on the show, please tell them to reach out to me because I'd love to get them on the show. And if they can sponsor the show, we can release it completely ad free. Now, with that said, the other announcement I want to make is just a reminder. The Automation School and Automation Museum videos are now on their own separate channels. So you won't be seeing new videos from either of those, either What's New in School or Automation Museum interviews. We've done several since we've moved to the new channel. So if you're interested in any of those 2 series, please check out those other channels. And with that said, let's get back into this interview with Christine Bush from Schneider Electric.
I would say that I agree with what you just said. And one of the things that well I'll promote is come visit us in Raleigh and come see the Center of Excellence and what we're doing there. We're showing off all the robotic offers that Schneider has. So today we have Deltas and Cartesians, which we've had for over 20 years. We've added additional robots like collaboratives, the linear track solution with our MC12, and then early next year we're launching a SCARA. So really the only arena that we don't play in today would be are articulated for those heavier payloads in the
That's
automotive
amazing.
industry. But where we're having a lot of fun is bringing artificial intelligence
Oh, yeah.
into the, again, higher levels of motion control as well as robotics. And because of that skilled labor, we need to provide controls engineers with better tools. And this is where I think some of the younger generation may have fun with this, because we are now starting to bring artificial intelligence into the programming environment, where we can just say, hey, I have a Delta robot and I want you to write me a homing routine to this location. And it'll start the code, create subroutines, utilize libraries, whether they come from us as a vendor of software and hardware. It'll utilize libraries that users are creating in their own machine designs. And it'll get code creation to the point of about 75-80% down the road. But I'm here to tell you, it's never going to replace the controls engineer, because a controls engineer is very much needed to validate that what was written from an artificial intelligence perspective is actually applicable in the field.
Absolutely. Yeah. We kind of talked about this too. In previous episodes, we were talking about, it's great that when you open up Microsoft Word or a word processor, there's templates for a letter,
Yep.
but you wouldn't think of sending that template to anybody, because it's not going to have the right name, right address, and it's not going to be the right information. So
Yep.
these type of templates that AI, and I love what you guys are doing. When I was on the show floor, I was looking at it with Kareem and Mahoa, and just the how you guys have embedded so much of your knowledge base. Like, every major manufacturer just has a mountain of great
Absolutely.
information, but the problem is a lot of times trying to find the right information you need. And that's where I think AI excels. Anytime I search the internet and I don't get a good result, I go to one of the AIs and I
Yep.
say, tell me how to do this. And
Yep.
they will usually do a great job of summarizing the entire internet
Hmm.
that tell me exactly what I need to do. And I see that's what your AI system is starting to do. So what can you tell the audience about this? Is it ready? Can they subscribe now? Are you looking for people to join in?
So we're still very much in the build it.
Okay.
It is not ready to deploy to our customers today, but very shortly it will be. It'll be something that grows over time. The more you use it, the more it learns, the better it will
Yeah.
become. The next level that we want to take it is we want to embed for our customers naming convention protocols,
Yes.
um, the way the code is structured, from local variables, global variables, and subroutines. But we want companies to have the ability to say what their naming convention is, how they want the code organized, and so that's the next level that we're taking it to. So much so that we'll be able to basically say, "Good morning, Christine. Are you ready to program your next project? What language do you want to program it in?" And we're starting with structured text. And
Oh, yeah.
yeah, because it's the easiest format in order
Most
to get started.
universal, easiest to
Very much
manipulate.
so.
It's text already.
Yep,
So you're working with a text-based engine. Yeah,
absolutely. Yep,
yeah, makes a lot of sense.
yep. And then with that, we want to perfect that, but we're also going to bring it into additional tools like digital twin technology.
Oh, yeah.
And for OEMs building machines, this is going to be critical, so that they can at least build the skeleton of what their machine's going to do or look like, bring the robot in and start testing the move paths. And see if an arm of a Delta is going to hit the sidewall. We've actually worked with some customers where, based on technical data out of the catalog, they were designing it mechanically.
Mhm.
And we were able to show them, oh, yes, you can put it there, but when you go to this move, you're going to hit the wall. So, I mean, these are the things that will help enable OEMs to build better machines, more efficient, and building AI into these digital twin technology will help get a model created faster than doing it from scratch.
Yeah, and I think it's so exciting, having sat in the NVIDIA fireside chat,
Ah, yeah.
to know that Schneider has teamed with them on
Hmm.
the Omniverse, which, if you don't know what it is, it was just an amazing presentation. And they talked about how this all goes towards making digital twins, which, NVIDIA, I get it, right? You can't commission a million chips unless you know they work right, right?
Yeah.
That would be a big fail, right? And very costly. So they had to digital twin everything to make sure the chips were going to work right, and there were no flaws that somebody had missed. But now we're getting to the point where OEMs, they already got all their their drawings and their mechanical, files in a 3D format typically,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
A lot of
Typically.
times provided by the vendor, sometimes developed in-house.
Hmm.
And so they're ready for that. And of course, we all know about DPACs and be able to run soft PLCs and,
Yep.
virtual controllers and the whole nine yards. So, I see now with the age of digital twin, like real digital twins, we're there for the OEMs. Like I think that's one of the things we're going to see them embracing more and more because all the pieces are falling into place.
Yeah.
And how do you guys do that with the robotics? Like, how do you interface with digital twins?
So we have a digital twin, and we are, of course, we're working with our OEMs as well as end users to model out their machines.
Okay.
Um, but because our digital twin, we have the luxury of being able to go ahead and embed models of our robotic equipment, so it will help our OEM customers design in a faster fashion. We don't believe, like you said, we have a mindset that we want our software to be open and agile for customers to use it in many different ways. So it's not restricted to just Schneider components. So we can bring third-party components in and test as well. And then we want to take it into the manufacturing space and the logistics space and
Yeah.
utilize it with end users as well to help them design out their manufacturing floor, their warehouse or logistics center.
And that's amazing. And I'm glad you mentioned that because just being here, I'm always thinking in industry, I'm always thinking PLCs, HMIs,
Mm.
push buttons, and SCADA. But with Schneider, I mean, it's more than that. You're not just industry, your utilities, your process, your all the data centers. It's a lot of big pieces to your company. I guess the team here has been so great to doing these podcasts, has given me the hook. So I want to end on the just asking one more thing. Like, so we're recording this at the end of 2025, right? So we're here at the Innovation Summit and looking forward to 2026. Any trends you're seeing coming down the road that we may be looking at?
I think the trend is going to be end users asking OEMs for those digital twin models, because what I see from all the trade shows that I've been in this year are end users asking, "Do you have a digital twin?" And there's a couple of reasons why they're asking that question. Maybe they received a machine that didn't perform to spec.
Yes.
It's a slippery slope because you gotta be looking at it not just at the machine level, but upstream and downstream. So it's a slippery slope to say that the machine is not performing because there could be a plethora of things as to
Yeah.
why it's not performing. But I do believe that the trend will be end users requesting that as they model out their lines in their manufacturing floor, or their, like I said, warehouses and distribution centers. Because they're looking at, I need to be better with my design, my build, my operation, so that they move into optimization. And future state, um, are they going to be able to model in if they have a failure and a line goes down? How are they going to recover? And I think with digital twin technology, they are going to be able to model out, okay, we had downtime for 2 hours. How do we recover? Can we get back to the metric of the throughput of the day? And a digital twin will help them do that. And so I think these digital twins will be live in the background, helping manufacturers be more efficient with whatever they manufacture and increase from an efficiency perspective and a quality perspective.
Yeah, I appreciate that insight. I think you're absolutely right. And I'm getting the axe. So, Christine, thank you again for coming on the show. Really
I
appreciate it.
appreciate
It
it.
was great talking to you.
Thank you. Same here.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that episode. I really enjoyed talking to Christine, and I want to thank her for coming on the show. I also want to thank Schneider Electric for sponsoring this episode so I can release it to you ad free. Really appreciate their sponsorships. If you know any vendors out there who you think would be a good option to come on the show and talk about their products and services and technologies, please ask them to reach out to me directly. I'd love to get them on the show. That said, I want to thank you for tuning back in this week. I want to wish you all good health and happiness. And until next time, my friends, peace.